crazy? So I'm over at the old WISM radio station. We used to call it Wisdom Radio, and a man named Bob Appella over the years became a very good friend of mine, always independent, but he began to actually run a lot of my productions, help assist in the media buying. He was a skilled fellow. And Bob Abella is recording a commercial. And I'm really getting into it because it seems the crazier I got, you know, the sort of wacko, Spike Jones-esque, that the more people would respond. Oh, you're that crazy guy on the radio. I was wondering what you look like. But I'm doing a commercial, and some employee politely says, you know, you got to tone that down. Tone it down? Listen to what I'm going to do this time. Come to American TV. I'm going to tell you what we're going to do. If you come to American TV and you pick out any TV, even if you want the $90 for a black and white, you can pick out any radio free on the radio shelf, and I'm screaming and yelling. Listen, don't buy a TV and don't wait. Come to American TV this weekend for no other reason. Bring your family and enjoy some pizza. It's good pizza. It's Italian pizza. I'm Italian. And then the other visitor, the executive, if you will, said, that's Crazy Lenny. And the name was Crazy Lenny forever. I love this old 1955 boat. It's the most precious, not in dollars or anything like that, but heartfelt possession I have. It's a great story. Back in 1955, or maybe it was 56, my friend up in northern Wisconsin, when we were there for the polio epidemics, his father bought him a 15 horsepower motor on a 14-foot Crestliner. In fact, the motor was so overpowering for the boat, my dad took two 2x4s, bolted them together, put them across the beam of the boat, and mounted a steering wheel with cables so that he'd have better control over that motor. Well, the summer was great, but I wanted my own boat. Jealous a little bit. So I said, Dad, can I buy a boat like that? He says, yeah, you want a boat like that? Go and make the money. So that winter, I had a paper route. I shoveled snow. I mowed lawns. I cut grass. I did any chore to get $1 here, 50 cents there, whatever. Sold subscriptions to the Chicago Herald-American, you know, just everything. And I saved up $700 in a period of about 8 months. So we went up to Eagle River that June to be out of the city for the polio epidemics. And I said, you know, Dad, remember you said I could buy a boat? He says, yeah, let's go and look at boats. So the first boat we looked at, he said, no, I wouldn't buy this boat. He says, it's made out of tin foil. Your mother would use it to bake a turkey or something. So, okay. Then we went to look at a boat, just like the one my buddy had that I was a little jealous of, and I wanted one like that. No, I don't like the way that boat's riveted together. I just don't like that. This boat, the rivets are staggered. And that's a much better way to rivet a boat. I said, oh, okay. So we went and saw this boat, which did have the staggered rivets. Except this boat, back then, now at thousands, was $1,400. Remember, I said I'd saved up $700. So, quite a feat for a kid. So he said, yeah, but it's 14. He said, well, maybe I could, you know, maybe you'd let me pay you the other 700 next year. He said, well, Lenny, that's a lot of, nah. So we went home without buying a boat. I was truly hurt. It's one of the most hurt feelings because he was always first in line. If I said I'd save it up, he knew I would. But anyway, I went home and we had dinner, and I was probably pretty quiet and sullen, and I went to bed. I slept in a cot in the living room, and I was supposed to get up before everyone, make a fire in the stove and get the water boiling. We had running water, but not hot water. And that was my morning job. But that morning, Mom woke me up before my usual time. She said, Lenny, wake up. Go up to the shed, the tool shed, open your dad's toolbox. In the top of the toolbox is a tray with tools. We all seen that. He says, get that tray and take it over to the Mr. and Mrs. Maxon's house down the lake, about a mile. Oh, gee, okay. So it was pretty heavy, you know, and it was about almost a mile walk. And I walked along the little path along the shoreline. Those days they were called deer paths. And as I got around the last turn and looked out onto Maxon's house, there was this boat. Dad had bought it. Never forget that feeling. Never. So the years go by. I went off to the University of Illinois. University of Illinois. Reluctantly, my dad didn't want me to go. He said, what are you going to study? I said, mechanical engineering, Dad. Mechanical engineering? Those guys can't put a nut on a bolt. Good old Sam. Anyway, then I moved to Rochester and worked for Eastman Kodak Company for a few years. And then I moved back to Madison when my brother was very ill and passed away. Helped with his family, took over his TV repair, small little business, and went on to American TV. And then I met Tara. And I began to talk to her about this boat I used to have. My sister Lori Ann had some pictures of the boat, and Tara got some copies of those pictures. I always talked about the boat more and more, all the fun I'd have, and I'd take girls out in the boat. Then we'd go down to the big resort on Bass Lake, and then we'd say, hey, if I buy you a tank of gas, will you take our daughters for a boat ride? Because they'd be bored, you know, the parents all went fishing. I loved the boat, but I didn't even know where it was. Lord, no one knew. One day, I came home, just like the day my dad bought the boat. Tara found this boat, bought this boat, and with the help of my sister's husband, my brother-in-law, Dick Stegbauer, here it is. And it runs like a top.
At One Community Bank, we believe in three things: serving clients, supporting colleagues, and investing in our communities. One of the investments we're most proud of is our support of OCA Media. For nearly the past decade, we have been proud to partner with OCA Media and the important work they do for our community. Whether it's showcasing local government, highlighting the success of the school district, or just emphasizing all the amazing things that occur in our community, we've been proud to be by the side of OCA Media. As we announce our continued support of their important work, we invite you to join us in supporting OCA Media.